Hi everybody, it's Brian here. I hope you're all well. Welcome back to my channel. So in today's episode, it's going to be a very light-hearted type of episode where I'm going to be explaining to you one of my favorite ways of designing when, I just feel like I want to take things a little bit easy. I don't want to think too much about it. I want to have a lot more fun and just allow my imagination and creativity to roll wild. So what I'm going to be explaining today is super simple to do. It's really fun. I think it's going to be really great with respect to the holiday season that we're approaching with Christmas just around the corner. You can come up with some fantastic designs that you can use for your Redbubble or any other print-on-demand platform uploads. So with that said, stay tuned. Now, before we continue with today's episode, as always, the fact that you're here means that you are interested in all things pertaining to print on demand. And with that said, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to watch this episode. And indeed, if you've watched any of the episodes on my channel, thank you very much. I sincerely hope that the content that I am publishing is providing you with value, or you are new to this channel, will provide you with value. So if you're new, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and hit the bell notification icon so you'll be informed each and every time that I upload an episode to my channel. I upload episodes every Wednesday and Saturday, and the goal of this channel is to help you take your print-on-demand business to the next level, to obviously increase the potential for gaining more customers and, hey, eventually making more sales. So with that said, let's hop over to my computer so that we can start with today's tutorial. Hi, welcome to my computer screen, and as you can see here, I've got Photoshop open up on my screen. Now, some time ago, a follower of my YouTube channel had asked a question to me, basically asking, is there a particular size that one could design on that would effectively fit on all of the Redbubble products once you're obviously uploading? And I did a little bit of research, and basically I came up with the following dimension size. So we're going to click Control New, and we've got 13,500 by 11,462 pixels. Now this effectively is going to cover basically all of the products on Redbubble. The only thing that is going to be a little bit questionable, and that's basically up to your taste and your own judgment, pertains to obviously the t-shirts, and I'll show you that a little bit later on when we upload the design that we're going to create today. But otherwise, everything else that's particularly, all over print, this particular dimension is going to work very well. The only problem that you do have to keep in mind is that because of the fact that it is potentially a large design, particularly if you add a lot of dimensions to this design, you're probably going to have to wait a little bit for the design to be processed by your computer, again depending on the speed of your computer. So let's just go ahead and click create. We're going to create this particular canvas. Now, given the fact that we're going to be approaching the Christmas season, I thought wouldn't it be interesting to create a few Christmas abstract designs using Christmas themed colors. Now, for those of you who have been following me on my YouTube channel, you know that one of my favorite websites to use is this website called SchemeColor. Now, I am not affiliated at all with this particular website, but I absolutely love the choice and the selection that one can obtain from this website simply by adding a keyword into the search field. So if we had to go in and type in the word Christmas, we're going to be presented with a number of different color palettes that go well together and give a Christmas feel. Okay, and there are quite a number of them. In fact, if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can see via these arrows that are quite a number of pages. So if I just click on number 2 here, okay, you've got basically a ton of color palettes all related to the concept of Christmas. Now, for today's tutorial, I thought I would use this one, Days of Christmas. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on it. Now, the brilliant thing about SchemeColor is that in addition to the fact that it's giving you the colors nice and big and bold here for you to be able to see, if you hover over them, you're given some different options, and you're also given the hex code at the bottom. So 6F1F16 is going to relate to this particular burgundy type color. So this is going to be very important for us when we are creating our design. So I'm just going to keep this open. Now what I'm going to do is on my keyboard, I'm going to press the Alt key, and I'm going to hit the Tab key, and that's going to take me back to Photoshop. Now, Here we have our canvas, and I already went ahead and I copied the first base color that I'm going to be using, which again, if I hit Alt Tab, I'm going back to my SchemeColor color palette here, and basically I grabbed the hex code for this blue color. If I scroll down here a little bit, you're getting more information in terms of the name too. So this is green cyan, okay, with a hex code of 009862. Basically all I do is I copy it from here, or I copy it from up over here, and I can easily just click on this copy tool here. The code is saved into my clipboard. I'm going to type in Alt Tab to go back to Photoshop, and in the color palette here, I'm just going to paste the hex code over here, and voila, I've got the color in the palette, and then all I have to do is just click on the paintbrush tool, just click anywhere on it, and wait a few moments, and now I've got this green cyan color as my base color. Now, what I want to do is I want to duplicate this particular layer. So on the keyboard, I'm going to hit Control J, okay, or else you can just grab the background layer all the way down to this folder over here, the plus, if you can see down here at the bottom, and it will obviously make a duplicate for you. But Control J is a lot faster. I'm very big on keyboard shortcuts, saves a whole heck of a lot of time, so I would highly encourage that if you want to duplicate any layers, then just hit Control J on the keyboard and you'll be able to continue working. Now, I also want to create a new layer on top of this duplicated aqua layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click here on the plus symbol, create a new layer, and it's on this layer that I'm going to start creating different types of shapes that I'm going to obviously manipulate and modify further along in this episode to give me a Christmassy wallpaper type feel, an abstract type feel. You'll see exactly what I'm going to be talking about in a moment. So what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is going to go back to SchemeColor. So I'm going to type in Alt Tab to go back. And I'm going to go with this particular beige color. So I'm just going to click on the copy code here. I'm going to hit Alt Tab to go back to Photoshop. And then I'm going to click on the rectangular tool here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up a very thin rectangle. Now, if your palette is too big for you to be able to extend across due to your mouse, I'm using a Wacom tablet over here. So obviously the area that I have for the mouse to move on is very small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control Z on the keyboard to delete it. I'm going to decrease the canvas size by tapping and holding the Control key and tapping the minus key. So now it's nice and small. And now when I draw my rectangle tool, I'll be able to fill that in with the color that I want. Now, I want to make sure that that beige color is the beige that I wanted to get from SchemeColor. As it stands right now, it isn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the fill tool here. I'm going to hit on the color palette. And in the hex code field over here, I'm just going to hit Control V because I have already copied the hex code. And as you can see, we have the color from SchemeColor. So I'm going to click on OK. And obviously the rectangle now has changed. So what I want to do is I'm going to duplicate this particular rectangle a few times. So I hit Control J once, making sure that I'm on my move tool. I'm just going to drag it down. And again, with this particular style of creating designs, there's no right or wrong way of doing it. It's basically what you are feeling and what you're happy with. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to hit Control J to create a new layer. I'm going to just drag it down again. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. So as you can see, I'm just sort of creating these horizontal patterns across the canvas. And I think we'll just do two more here. So bring this one down. Yeah, there we go. And one more. And we'll just go off the canvas here as we did with the top. Okay, so now after I've placed all of my sort of beige rectangles, what I'm going to do is I want to merge them together. So in the Layers Palette tool, I've already got the first rectangle copy already highlighted. I'm going to hold the Shift key on the keyboard and I'm going to click on the first one that I created. And then whilst they're all highlighted, I'm going to right click to rasterize all of the layers here. Because of the fact that they're in there as a smart object, I won't be able to merge them together. So I'm going to rasterize the layers. Okay, so as you can see now, all of the layers have been rasterized, and then whilst they're still highlighted, I'm going to hit Control E on the keyboard to merge them together. Okay, so now as you can see, they're all merged together, and if I just have to turn off the green layers, you'd see the beige layers over there. All right, so I'm going to turn back the green layers on. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer. And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to SchemeColor. I'm going to select the red. So I'm going to copy the code into the clipboard, go back to Photoshop. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the fill area here, the color picker, and I'm going to paste the hex code for the red. And I'm just going to click OK. Now whenever I draw a new rectangle or a square or any other shape, it's going to come out in red. So let's just do a bunch of squares. So we're going to do one square there. I'm going to hit Control J, making sure I'm on my move tool. And I'm just going to move it here. So Control J. And again, I'm just going to place them wherever I would like. And you can make as many or as few as you'd like. Again, it's totally up to you. I'm just going to space them all around. Let's just make one more here. Okay. And I'm going to go one more at the top center, just off the cuff here. Okay, and again, as I did before, I'm going to highlight all of them by holding on the Shift key and tapping on the first rectangle that I created, or rather in this case, the squares, the red square. Okay, I'm going to right-click and choose Rasterize Layers, and I'll wait for Photoshop to do its thing. As you can see, it's done that. And then I'm going to go on to Layer, all the way down to Merge Layers, so keyboard shortcut Control E. All right, and now we've got two layers. We've got our red squares, we've got our beige rectangle, and what we'll do is we'll create one more. So I'm going to hit the plus tool to create a new layer. We'll go back to SchemeColor, and I think what we'll do now is we've got the red, we've got the beige. I think what I'll do is we'll choose this yellow here, so there will be a nice contrast between the red and the beige. So we'll just click on copy code. We'll hit Alt Tab to go back to Photoshop. Now what we want to do is we want to change the color of our brush. So we're going to click on this green here. In the hex code area, we're going to hit Control V to paste the code for the mustard color. We're going to click OK. And now we're just going to start clicking anywhere that we would like for the yellow circles to be placed. And we can decrease the size of the circle too as well, just to give it a bit of depth and dimension. And again, it's all a question about how deep and how complicated you want to make this pattern. Now, as it stands right now, you could easily save this and actually upload it as a pattern onto Redbubble or Society 6 or TPub or any other print-on-demand website that you use. And probably there might be actually somebody out there who would really get a kick out of this design. Again, we are using a bit of Christmassy colors, but I want to take it a step extra. I want to go a step further on this. So now that we've got our layers here, let's just close this window here. Now we've got our layers here. What we're going to do is we're going to merge them together. And we're going to merge the first four layers, leaving the background layer as is. Okay, so all we're going to do is we're just going to click on the layer one whilst holding the Shift key. We'll go up to Layer and we'll choose Merge Layers. Okay, and we'll wait a few moments. Now we've got all four of those layers merged together, and if I turn them off, we've got our background, and if I turn it back on, we're back on. Now, making sure that we are on this design layer, not on the background layer, we want to go up to Filter, and then we're going to go down to the Liquify tool. Now, this is a real fun tool to use because literally the world is your oyster in terms of creativity with what you can do with this Liquify tool. So let's just click on it. We'll wait for Photoshop to open up the page. And as you can see here, we've got the window. And what you really want to focus your attention on is this tool up here, the Forward Warp tool. Now you've got other options over here, which you can go ahead and play with if you want to. Each one of these tools is going to play a different effect on the design accordingly. But for today's example, we're just going to use the Forward Warp tool. And then all you need to do is just adjust the size of the brush, the density, okay, and the pressure. I've already done so ahead of time, and 1606 as a size with a density of 64 and 100 pressure worked really well. So let's just go ahead, and now all we want to do is click and press the left mouse button and just move your mouse button. And you can effectively just go in any way or design that you would like to do, in any direction. I mean, you could start here and you could do circles. You could go in the opposite way and you could just do zigzags if you'd like. Again, there's no right or wrong way of going about doing this. It's all in your creativity and what you feel happy with designing. And if you don't like it, then don't click on OK, just click cancel and you're right back to where you started. So again, we're just going to click on filter, go down to liquify or the keyboard shortcuts Shift Control X. So we're going to click on that, wait for Photoshop to bring it up. Okay, and if you want to increase the size of the brush, all you have to do is just click on the arrow here. And again, it's just a question of basically going across and moving your mouse pointer in different directions to see how the liquify effect will affect the design. And again, this is the reason why it didn't really matter where you place the rectangles or the dots or the squares, because effectively, when you're using the liquify tool, you're literally warping the entire design. And you can just keep doing it. It's very therapeutic, actually, because if you just keep doing circles, eventually you're going to get to a point where you say, ah, this is really nice, and I'm going to keep that. Okay, so I'm just going to circle around a bit more like that. Okay, now don't worry the fact that some of the design has come off the canvas and you've got the transparent background over there. That's the reason why we kept the green background active. So when I click on OK, and we wait for Photoshop to actually process the changes to the design. And as you can see here, now Photoshop has actually made the changes to the design. It's warped, okay? And effectively, it has covered the entire canvas. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually make sure whilst on the layer, you could hit Control T on the keyboard to activate the transform tool. And whilst holding the shift key, if you didn't want all of the space over here, you could just grab the top handle here and just bring it up here and basically just reshape it in any way, shape, or form that you would like, okay, until you're happy with the way the design is going to look. And if you let go of the shift key and just grab one of the handles, well, it's just going to adjust either left to right or top to bottom according to which handle you actually grab onto. So when you're happy having modified that design and liquefying it, it's time to upload it onto Redbubble. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit enter on the keyboard to accept the changes. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to save it. So we're going to go to File, Save As. Okay, and what we'll just call it Christmas Liquefied Design. You can call it whatever it is that you like. Make sure that you save it as a PNG, and when you're in the Save As type, if you tap on the letter P on the keyboard 8 times, it will take you to PNG. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then just click on Save. Okay, we're going to click OK. Okay, now it's saved. What we have to do is we have to go and upload it onto Redbubble. Okay, so here we are now on Redbubble, and all I'm going to do is just click on Upload New Work. Okay, now once my file is up on the screen, I just click on it and choose Open. Wait for it to upload. And obviously, understandably, it is a bit of a large size, so it does take a few seconds to do so, but as you can see, Redbubble is doing a fantastic job with the upload process. Okay, and as you can see now, the design has been uploaded. Okay, now this is what I was talking about earlier. With respect to the standard print clothing, the large print clothing, and even to a certain extent the caps, with respect to these 3 product items, it's basically up to you whether or not you wish to have them activated or not. When I created this particular design, the objective that I had in mind was to showcase it on those products where effectively the design could be printed all over. As you can see with the chiffon tops, the graphic t-shirt dresses, and the graphic t-shirts. So again, it's basically up to you whether or not you want to keep these activated. I'm going to deactivate them. Again, I don't think that it's something which is going to look good on these particular products, and I'm a type of person that, you know, when I'm uploading a design, it has to look good on a product, because if it doesn't, I deactivate it. I'm not one of those type of people that has to have, you know, my design activated on all 90 plus products, because when my customers visit my shop, I want to make sure that they are seeing the designs that I upload to be showcased in the best possible light. If it doesn't look good, I deactivate it. So that's basically up to you in terms of what it is that you want to do with that. So if we just scroll down here, because of the fact that we use a large canvas, and by the way, that large canvas effectively is the size for the king duvet size. I went through the Redbubble blog in terms of checking out the different size dimensions for the products, and the 13,500 by 11,462 pixel dimensions is effectively for the king duvet cover, which is basically the biggest product that Redbubble currently prints on. So I know now that with everything else on Redbubble that is the all over print style, it's going to be covered effectively with my design, because obviously the king size duvet is basically larger than any of the tops, mobile covers, or what have you. So as you can see here, as I'm scrolling down here, we've got this design, which is effectively, in my opinion, looking really great on all of the products. Now, if there are some products which are deactivated, like the mini skirts, you can just enable those. Okay, and just scroll down through too as well. And as you can see, I don't really need to make any other modifications to the other products aside from making sure that they are enabled, as is the case with the bath mats. And if there's something that you don't like, then you can just turn it off, or you can actually click on it and move it. So if we went onto the wood and canvas mounted prints and clicked on edit, because of the fact that the product is quite large, I could just basically move it either left or right, making sure that obviously the design fits within the boundary of the said product. Okay, we're just going to move it down a little bit, make sure we're covered on it. And if I was happy with that, I would just click apply changes and continue moving on. Now the masks are not enabled, so I'm going to enable those. On the aprons, you have your jigsaw puzzles, the sleeveless tops. And as we go down here, we can see that the leggings have been disabled. We're going to enable those. Okay, and the backpacks and the duffel bags are also enabled too as well. And basically, that's all you have to do. So in terms of actually creating this particular design style, well, first and foremost, you need to make sure that you have a great color palette that you're going to work with. Now, whether it's 2, 3, or more colors is effectively up to you. Then what you want to do, basically, and by ways of summarizing, is open up any photo image editing program that you use, and obviously do what I did earlier in this episode by just drawing different types of shapes, squiggly lines with your brushes, change the colors up a little bit, and then click on that liquify tool, which is so fun to use, very therapeutic, very relaxing. So if you wanted to create a couple designs that basically you didn't really want to have to think about, but just wanted to have that abstract feel, then hey, you could use that. One other thing, if I just go back to Photoshop, you can actually use this design, and if you go one step further and just click on the layer adjustment tool down over here and just add a hue saturation layer on top of it, well, effectively you could come up with a whole slew of different designs simply by moving the hue tool either left or right. So if you use Christmas colors, great, but if you wanted to come up with, I don't know, an Easter feel or a Valentine's Day feel, okay, or a summery or spring or autumn feel, well, it's just a question of changing the hues on it, and you can even go so far as to increase or decrease the saturation accordingly. So you could come up with hundreds of different abstract tones and variations of this design and just effectively upload those. You could say maybe, I don't know, start with about 5 or 10 different variations, save them, upload them, and see if they take. And if they take and people are interested and people are buying them, well, you can go ahead and create another 10. So you could just be effectively save this as a PNG. When you're ready to create new variations, just open it again in Photoshop or Photopea or whatever imaging editing program that you use. Add another hue saturation layer on it and just change the tones again. And then create another 10 or 15 of them and upload those again. So that's the beauty of this particular style of creating these abstract designs. Again, if you wanted to, you could just clear your palette and create a bunch of different blobs or blotches or whatnot with different colors and come up with your own design too as well. That's the beauty and the fun and sort of the therapeutic, relaxing aspect of working with these particular designs. And in no time flat, you could really increase your portfolio by a good percentage too as well. So there you have it, everybody. As you can see, it's really not that difficult to create these sort of Christmassy abstract designs. And I call them Christmas abstract designs because obviously we are approaching Christmas. but in truth, you can use them at any time of the year. So if you're tired of trying to chase new trends or maybe designing for evergreen niches, and you just want to, kick back and just allow your imagination and creativity to run wild, this is the way to go. And you know what? When I actually do something like this, I find that it sort of gives me a recharge with my own creativity, so that when I'm going back to researching those evergreen niches that I designed for, or maybe, hey, even looking for trends that I could actually design for too as well, I feel a real sense of rejuvenation, a sense of, like a recharge, because of the fact that I've spent some time away from that and just basically and effectively had fun creating these weird and wacky abstract designs. And, like I said, there are a lot of people out there who look for these particular types of designs. There are quite a number of print-on-demand websites that do have these all-over types of prints, not only with respect to Redbubble, but you've got Society Six, and there are tons of others that you could actually sign up for and actually utilize these designs for. So the world is your oyster with respect to this. And all it takes is just a bit of time, your creativity, your imagination, a good cup of Java, and I really hope that you gain a lot of success with whatever designs that you create. But for today, that's all I've got. And as always, be safe, be well, be creative. Bye for now.